everyone, welcome back to SaaSy Moms. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Anya. And Wendy, remember I promised in episode 10 that we will do an episode on pricing as a 15th episode. Ta-da!
Mhm. I'm glad you actually remember because I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, so today our episode is primarily going to be about how to price your SaaS, solution. This is a really interesting topic, and I'm curious to learn actually, Anya.
Yeah, actually, our audience might not know that, but during one of the product management episodes, like earlier episodes, you asked me a question how to price your SaaS product. And I remember I was so surprised by this question that I wasn't even able to reply. And obviously, with the help of technology, we successfully deleted, cut that. Yeah, I think the pricing itself, I think we will do multiple episodes on pricing because we can't cover everything within 1 hour. But also, the price, like how to price SaaS, it's pretty a big question because it has multiple factors that will depend on how you price, right? You will need to think about what's your business goal, what is the type of product, what is the stage of the product's development, like is it mature product or is it a startup, what is the type of buyer you're dealing with, what is the type of industry, is it saturated, is it just a new evolving industry or niche, or are you entering existing market, are you creating a new market? There are so many questions to ask that honestly it's just very, very hard to do to give you one straightforward answer on how to price your product.
Yeah, and to be honest, sometimes when we're talking about pricing, it seems like we're just, picking some random numbers for the pricing and call it a day or add a, certain percentage to increase and things like that. So I'm super curious to learn. So enlighten us, Anya. So how do we determine price based on all those questions that you've asked?
I mean, let's start with the first one, right? Determine your business goal. And when you think about the pricing, your business goal is usually relates to three things. Number one, one of the business goals can be market penetration. And this means that you want to attract as many customers as possible, which means that you try to lower your price. This is very great strategy, especially for B2C SaaS. And if you like lower your price to a point where a person will not even think about spending this money, you can definitely attract a large audience. Another business goal can be building your customer base. Now, this business goal is a little bit more complex. It's still similar to like market penetration, meaning that you want to attract large amount of customers and your price will be lower than a benchmark or will have like low barrier for entry. But because you want to really focus on loyalty, like in B2B SaaS, you would offer some discounts for the longer term, right? So you will um, basically offer a lower price, but on a term, you will subscribe your users to 1 year, 2 year, 3 year term, or offer something unlimited. And then another goal can be like maximizing profit. And if you had this goal, you wouldn't do obviously low prices. You would try to, you wouldn't offer discounts, right? You will go full force and like usually this pricing strategy is great for established companies who already maybe like establish themselves and they are a leader or one of the leader and they wouldn't be interested to gain customers. Rather their goal will be, okay, at this point I want to sell and do as better with my profit margin as I can. So
Mhm.
really like the business goal is at least the first thing which will determine you how you price low or high. or you stay average, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then it's interesting because, you talked about the goal. But how do I translate that to even like, okay, where do I even set my price? Like, is my price like too low, too high? How do you even establish that like benchmark? How do you even create that price point itself, right? Like translating that goal to the price. Like, how do I do that?
Yes, so there are multiple methods. For example, value-based pricing, cost-based, competitor-based, penetration, freemium pricing. So let's maybe go one by one. I will
Mhm.
start with, I think, the value-based pricing, because in my opinion, every SaaS company and a company in general should use this approach. So basically, what it means that your price will be determined based on the value that you give to your customers. And how are you going to do that? Is by deeply understanding your customer needs and understanding strong value proposition. Right. So this is where product managers come in, because as a product manager, your goal will be to determine, are you what is the value? Are you saving thousands of dollars for this company in time that they save, or in processes that become more efficient, or what is there's the biggest pain which can be somehow commercialized, and you set your price based on this pain point that you discover.
Okay, interesting. So when you mentioned about the value base, so let's say I can save, I don't know, $100 for a business. What should my price be? Should it be like, I don't know, $5, $10, $100 because I'm saving them 100?
Yeah, so I guess here, like, you can do whatever you want to, but there is an industry standard, which I think Y Combinator, for those of you who know, this is the kind of Y Combinator, if it's a very famous startup. A company that gets startup, they try to find a growth opportunity for them and then potentially attract investors for startups. So they have a video on pricing, and usually they say that the standard is 10x, right? So, for example, you would, for $100, if you save or help your business to save $100, or you then can price $10 a month for the for this offering. Now, obviously, this $100 is a perceived value for a customer, right? Again, the math will be like that. Let's say your app can save your customer 2 hours a month. And if the customer doesn't use your product, they, let's say, lose in productivity, wasting someone's salary at $50 an hour, right? Now you save them $100 a month, and they are ready to pay you $10 a month.
Hmm.
So this is how I would go about pricing. But again, you can not trust this. You can choose your own multiple, but the average or the proposition is 10 multiplied by price.
Okay, no, very interesting. But I'm also curious. So what if I think it's worth $100 and another company, um, it might think it's actually worth $1,000 to somebody else, and then how does that take into consideration?
Yeah, so that's true. So different like users might perceive value differently, right? For someone, it can be 1,000, as you mentioned. For others, it's 100. Now, that's why this is where your persona, so like buyer's persona, becomes a very, very important, because you need to create this target persona that you will focus on. And you choose, is it the one who perceives this value as $100, or the one who perceives this value as $1,000, and you price there. So obviously, you not always sell to your exact persona, but you have to be targeted. And this is where the buyer's journey
Hmm.
exercise becomes very, very useful.
Okay, love that. All right, let's move on to competitor-based, pricing. What does that mean?
Yeah, so this just means that you basically price your product based on competitors. You use competitors as a benchmark, but of course, this method is great when you enter a market with already established competition or a saturated market. But you have to understand that this type of benchmark might it has a con in it because you might offer some unique value that your competitors don't have. It means that your price will not account for this new unique value that you offer. So, I would say that it's usually better to use kind of value-based pricing instead of just copying what competitors do.
Yeah, no, this is interesting as you're mentioning this because this is another reason why figuring out the category that you're in is also very, very important because
Yeah.
you might be entering a very saturated market. For example, I don't know, CRM or password management tools, right? It's very, very saturated, and not everyone is a Salesforce, and you can't be. So, what is your unique value? And then pricing it that way because even if you're like, aspiring to be a Salesforce, you're not going to be there. You need to pick your unique value and you need to price that way. So I think
Hmm.
competitive based pricing, it's a interesting. I think you should need to be aware of your competitors.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you want to be, I don't know, the Temu or the, I don't know, the alternative to like, all the I'm just trying to think of like, some of the ways to that like you want like to be the cheapest alternative out there, then I think this might be the way. But if you want to create value and create, shareholder value for your business and your company, I don't know if this is the right approach. Just kind of thinking out loud.
Oh, you know what? We should do an episode on Temu because it's so funny. I don't know what is your relationship with this website, but recently I got sucked into their things because as a new customer, I guess they got me, and it was just like a crazy experience. And like my partner, he doesn't like Temu, and he was like, I literally spent like 3 hours of my life shopping on Temu and never making a purchase, but I just like the way they convert you is crazy. Like
Yeah.
we definitely should like look at them.
No, but it's interesting. It is really competitive based, right? Because they're just trying to
Yeah.
be the cheapest
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Um, But anyways, so with that, maybe we can get into some of the even any like maybe nuances if people wanting to go after a really established market and want to do that competitive based pricing. I'm sure there's some use cases for it. Can you kind of elaborate on some of the maybe nuances or where people should consider?
Yes. So as you already mentioned, so for example, like a niche, right, can be a very good thing to consider and adjust your pricing. But just competing only on price will bring you nowhere because it will just result in price wars, and it's just not a good way. So even if you use competitors at benchmark, just remember that first of all, their price might be biased in the sense that they might not did just a good job, pricing their product, or they can miss some context, or you can miss some context behind the price. For example, maybe your competitor has an ability to, I don't know, source developers very, very low cost, right? So as a result, they offer a cheap price. Maybe you don't have an opportunity to do it, so you just can't really base your price based on them. Or potentially you might offer similar product, but as you mentioned about market niche, your competitors maybe target enterprise customers and then they can establish higher prices. But if you focus on startups or SMBs, then obviously you can't price as high as your competitor will. Or you can also always just offer additional value, additional services, and then increase your price. So use it as a benchmark, just understand where you're at, but do feel free to adjust and justify it.
Hmm. All right, so let's get into the next one. What about like cost-based pricing? Like what does that mean? Is it you just very easy, as the name says, just markup? And then how would that be applicable for SaaS, right? Especially SaaS, there's not really a set cost, and the cost kind of scales as you're acquiring more and more customers too? How would that work?
Exactly. So like it's pretty straightforward in theory, but it's pretty complex. And as you mentioned, this costs, right? It's more about COGS, the cost of goods sold, which is usually takes into consideration your like Amazon, like sorry, AWS or Azure spending. It's pretty like I don't like this type of this type of pricing because as you already understood, I'm a fan of the value-based pricing, but I think it can be pretty good and applicable if you, let's say, have an upsell product and you can add like let's say a couple of developers, couple of engineers to your team, and then you know that like the costs will not go up because you just elaborate on your like basically you just do upsell features, then really you can do it. But again, you might miss the value there.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but again, if this is the easiest and tomorrow you want to launch a startup and you don't know how to price, you don't understand value, right? Because you don't yet talk to your customers or you talk to them, but it's something like right now very ambiguous. Just do the cost-based pricing. You will get started, but don't forget to, adjust.
Yeah, and then just another thing to add, because I worked in hardware before, where it's not a
Hmm.
SaaS-based model. It's a hardware and a software. It's a more of a you buy the hardware and there's a software subscription to it, right? So for hardware, if there's anything like networking or anything that's like related, there's a hard cost. Usually this becomes actually really critical because you need to kind of do a sum of all the parts that goes into the hardware, or else you'll be losing money as a
Hmm.
business as you are, delivering all these hardware to your customers. So that becomes really critical. But for a SaaS business model, I feel like this is probably less critical because your costs should easily scale up as you acquire more and more customers. So this
Yeah.
like kind of margin-based pricing probably would not be ideal in sort of a SaaS business model,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you mentioned about penetration pricing, like what does that mean?
So penetration pricing is basically your limited time offers, um,
Hmm.
where you just create a sense of urgency and pretty low price, again, with a goal to generate as much demand as you can. I think it's great when you already established yourself on the market, but you need to quickly scale up and get those money upfront. Also, it can be pretty good for pricing test in the beginning of your journey, but you still need to be very careful because implementing the strategy will inflate your results of like real users and their behavior a bit, but can be implemented somehow. Anyways, I wouldn't recommend the strategy long term unless you really found a way to decrease your COGS. This is not a SaaS example, but I guess McDonald's will be the good example as they were able to find the way to scale and really achieve the economies of scale, which helped them to, keep their price like at $1 for a cheeseburger for a very, very long time. And they basically got into every one of us and every family, and now we like McDonald's.
Yeah, and I think it's especially in a SaaS model, if you do this, I feel like you need to think about long term too, right? As a SaaS business model, you're trying to decrease your churn. You're trying to increase more and more customers. So it's like you have to figure out like, is this a sustainable model for you to kind of go to market with long term? It might benefit you maybe in the short term, but you would have to, increase the prices of your existing customers that have gotten it really, really low. And how do you
Hmm.
do that? So I think you have to think through that. And I actually have seen a lot of like non kind of market leader trying to gain market share. I've seen our competitors, kind of do it,
Hmm.
offer one third, one fourth, of the pricing. And we wonder if it's even sustainable, right? Like, and can it, be sustainable in terms of like, new product development, getting the product to where it should be to help a user kind of gain the full benefit, right? That's questionable.
Yeah, this type of offers will inevitably have to be retired. And then you have to have a plan on how to retire these offers. And again, it's good for short term. Right now, maybe you need to show like great revenue. Maybe it can help you to boost your other things like for example, referrals, right? You can get more customers, your product is great, and you get referrals from other customers, but eventually will be retired. I listened to one podcast where there was this like a meat delivery company in US. They did like unlimited offer for bacon, like for lifetime bacon. Like if you sign up for their like recurring meat delivery, they will give you bacon for a lifetime for free. But obviously it was short term, and then they had to deal with customers who got this offer, and in a year or two they had to retire this complete offering. So be
Yeah,
careful.
really have to think through it. All right, last one, freemium. This is an interesting one because we have been susceptible to it, and we're
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is so smart. So, as a very small business, startup podcaster,
hmm
we were like, okay, which platform should we be using? Zoom, because we were so used to it. We've never had a freemium version. We tried it and we're like, what? It ends at 40 minutes?
hmm
Why 40 minutes?
I
And
mean, we like, let's be honest, we also thought that the speed for 40 minutes will be enough for us. That's
exactly,
like,
exactly.
yeah, let's
Yeah,
be
that
honest.
was an eye-opening. We're like, oh, 40 minutes is plenty. We have enough time. But of course, being, first-time podcasters, we're like, chit-chatting and things like that. And then, oh, 40 minutes up and we haven't even finished recording. So we learned it the hard way that Zoom was actually very, very smart in doing this freemium model. So, Anya, tell us a little bit more about this kind of freemium pricing.
Yeah, to elaborate on Zoom, it was so funny because we always just had this 5, 6 minutes, which we
Yes.
needed. Only 5, 6 minutes, but we needed. I just can't believe how smart they are. And they did this like amazing research to really understand that 40 minutes is the biggest pain point that people have, which made us subscribe for Zoom. But yeah, so freemium pricing, it's basically when you just use a product and then they try to convert you into a paid later on after you have a taste of it. And if you apply for product management positions, usually there is sometimes description there said like product-led growth. This is what they mean is that you create such an excellent product that customers love, but also you create some features which a pain you like discover their pain point and you try to convert them into paid customer based on the needs that a person had in a moment while using your product. So this premium pricing attracts many users, generates lots of leads, but you have to be as smart as Zoom in order to, understand how to convert those free leads into a paid customer.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, Anya, I think there's a lot that we covered today. So as a, product management that is, pretty new to his job, and his first exercise is to, hey, can you look at our pricing for our product? Where should this person even, start? How do I price a product?
Yeah, so I would summarize based on everything that we talked today is that, like, first of all, understand the value that your product provides to a customer and where this key financial benefits for a customer will be from using your product. So once you understand that, like you do it based on the value-based approach. Just second, check competitors. Ensure that you're not going too crazy as an outlier, and of course, understand your business goal, right? Do you want to get a lot of customers at once, or do you want to maximize your profit? How fast you want to grow? How fast you want to scale? So just do this one by like this three steps, and I think this will help you. When it comes to expenses, I think I agree with like Wendy, with you, right? That you really just don't have a lot of expenses upfront. It's a rare factor, but just, yeah, you have to like check every year or maybe every half a year to just ensure that okay, now as you grow you don't overspend, but do it like later. But this is my recommendation, and then based on the inputs you will be able to generate pricing, like subscription based, usage based, tiered, freemium, etc. But I don't think this will be a topic for today's episode, and we will do another episode where we can talk about this type of pricing that exists.
Yeah, pricing is such a complex topic. And also like I know we didn't have enough time to talk through it, but you're gonna go through a little bit more details. But obviously pricing could change. It doesn't mean you set a price now and
Hmm.
it is set in stone as that strategy, right? Your competitors could change, your market, your customers could change. So like with that, how should people be evaluating or how often people should be evaluating and like how do you even go about updating and reviewing your pricing again?
I recently read like a post from a company. I don't remember what company it is, but they basically said that it took them 3 years before they were able to discover their price. In general, I think that if you don't know or you're not sure that you're pricing right, then do experiments in order to get to this price point. And experiments, you have to design them, and you have to ensure like when testing price, if you're, let's say, happy with your conversion rate, you should ensure that price doesn't affect conversion rate, or you can test how pricing will affect conversion rate, affect sales, and things like that. If you are just an established company, you have your pricing figured out, you are happy with your product margin, or you're not happy, but you are kind of okay with it, then your pricing still needs to be reviewed, I would say, like every year. But I want to tell something like interesting here because again, I was listening into a podcast of the Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you know him, but he is a guy who is like he wrote multiple books on sales and like how to sell. And originally he was doing gym launches. So basically, like you are like, let's say you're Wendy, you want to launch a gym, and he will help you to launch a gym. But he told a story on how he invested a lot of money into building this like gym launcher business, and he wasted a lot of money. Basically, he was almost broke, but then suddenly he talked to one guy, and this one guy was interested to be coached on how to launch a gym successfully. And so this Alex Hormozi, like he said, okay, I can do it for you, but my service is like $6,000. And the gym owner agreed. And then the next time he talked to another business owner, he charged $8,000. And this another owner agreed. And so his price basically went up, 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 up until I don't know how much, like 20, maybe 25, maybe $100,000. I don't know. But this is how he ended up just testing how much people are willing to pay for a certain service. Feel the waters and you will get your pricing right.
Yeah, no, that's a good tip. We're a big fan of just doing market research, customer research, because we're not the smartest in the room. A lot of that information that helps us succeed in our job as PMMs and PMMs are really coming from, market research and customer data. So I love that, Anya. So
Yeah.
with that, I know we're going to talk about more pricing stuff, in our next few episodes. I wanted to get into kind of our favorite segment, SaaSy struggles. And interestingly, Anya was like, "Hey, we should talk about some tips about traveling with kids." I think this came about because I just came back from a trip. I think that was kind of the reason. So I was thinking, I'm like, do I have any tips I could share? I think it's a lot of learnings that I had since multiple trips I did take with my kids. So here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very curious. So first of all, you never updated me. How was the trip?
Oh, it was amazing. So I went
Yeah.
on a cruise. It was to Alaska, and
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing. The reason
Wow.
why it was amazing, it was because I think I told you this even prior to me going on a trip. It was a kids club. It's amazing. You
Mm.
just drop off your kids and they do their own thing and you pick them up and yeah, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
For how
And they have
long?
so like they have different time slots that you can like drop
Mm-hmm.
them in for.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's different activities, and you know what? Like they love it. They don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
want to like do what we're doing. They don't want to watch any of the shows I want to go to, or like, do a bunch of other things. So they love it. I love it. So it was amazing. And then we also actually went with my parents too, and it was nice. It was super relaxing. Didn't have to think about like, cooking or doing anything. Everything was already included. So yeah, I highly recommend. But I would recommend going when your kid is like above 3. The reason
Yeah.
being, Kids Club is only available for kids after 3.
Yeah. Okay, so basically tip number one, find hotels or cruises or anything else with kids clubs.
Yeah, Kids Club. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
kids
I
club.
think like even all inclusive, like Mexico
Mm-hmm.
have those as well. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're looking into. Anyways, okay, let's kind of start with my tips. I kind of broke it down into different categories, but my first tip is don't travel with kids.
Okay, I don't like it,
No,
Wendy.
no, 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 no. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay.
Kind of joking, but not really. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, my tip for those that do not have a kid yet, travel as much as you can before kids. I
Mm-hmm.
seriously, I miss traveling on my own terms, on my own schedule, on all that. Now my kid's a little bit older, it's a lot easier. But I remember when I was younger, it was like, oh, like when is their nap? When do they
Mm-hmm.
need to sleep? I can't push it any longer because they're gonna go crazy. And I need like an hour before they go to sleep to like calm them down, do all the bedtime routines and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like my day, it's like, really structured. And traveling is
Absolutely.
the absolute opposite of structure. So for me, it was really hard, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
regret going to anything, even though maybe at that point I'm like, why am I doing this again?
Mm-hmm.
So so that kind of gets into my second tip. Don't wait to travel.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is like, when I was thinking through it, it was like, hey, I'll wait until he turns 1 to travel, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
2. Like just do it. Because it sucks no matter what. It's like how I think about traveling now is like you are just taking care of your kid in a different location,
Mm-hmm.
right? To me, that's kind of it. But don't make, I guess, like the traumatizing moments that you have stop you
Mm-hmm.
from traveling. Because I personally love traveling, even before kids. Like I would always try to
Mm-hmm.
find like new places. I love like adventures. I love, going on different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just adding, traveling with kids, it's tough. It's really
Mm-hmm.
tough because like I said, like their schedule, all these other things. But my kids still talk about different moments that they have had on trips that we go to. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what I want. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it's tough, I would say just go for it. Don't wait. And then I have seen
But
actually,
yeah.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I have seen actually like, 6 months, 9 months old baby. They don't remember it, but you have pictures to kind of like show
Mm-hmm.
them. I do that with my kid too. They're like, oh, I went here, and then they like ask me more about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually quite cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my other tip.
And actually, I can tell, right, that I did travel with my kid just from, let's say, Victoria to like Vancouver, from Vancouver to Victoria. And yes, you always pay off. And in the moment, you think, oh my God, I don't want to travel.
Yes.
But even if you like, when you travel, you still kind of feel refreshed. I don't know, you feel alive.
Yeah, you
Especially when,
do.
like, before 1 years old, before your kid turns 1 years old, you just feel alive that, oh, something exciting happened in my life. I went to a
Yes.
different place. I like, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because like I think being the first year it was tough as a mom just because you have to learn all these things and it becomes a routine, right? Because it's like a routine thing. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think any vacations or any trips that you take kind of takes you out of that routine, even though
Mm-hmm.
you might do that routine in a different location, it's still
Mm-hmm.
fresh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to a new mom. So I would highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other rule or the other tip I have is let go of any rules that you might have had. So for me, it's like, oh, you need to eat your vegetables. You shouldn't be watching too much TV, like maybe maximum 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do whatever is easy for you. Like you are all on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
You should be on vacation too, right? So like don't
Mm-hmm.
hold all these rules because I was a victim of that just because I'm like, oh man, like I can't let them be so free. How do I bring
Mm-hmm.
them back to Earth when
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
back,
yeah.
right? But I think I don't know. I haven't had that problem yet with my kids. Like they know it's a vacation, they can let go, and then when they come back,
Mm-hmm.
it's more of that back to that rhythm and routine. And I haven't had too much trouble kind of bringing them back. So just as another tip,
But
make
also,
it
I want
easy.
to, yeah, elaborate on it. Also, like, even if upon travel, it's a little bit hard for your kids to go back to routine, just think about yourself. Like, for
Mm.
example, when I come from a vacation as an adult, it takes me a couple of days to gather
Oh
myself
yes.
back, and it gets me a couple of days to like be more productive at work and it takes me a couple of days to adjust. So I usually do like to like from vacation to like give myself like 1, 2 days of a chill time where I kind
Hmm.
of smoothly interject. So think about the fact that kids might also need this adjustment and maybe just allow them to be also a little bit less like more free even after you
Yeah, yeah, no,
return, right?
yeah, that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we were back really, even from a cruise. It wasn't like we're back to our routine until I don't know this week, and it's been like two
Hmm.
weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So do
yeah.
smoothly, don't stress.
Yeah, I think it's like don't stress. Like for example, one of the things I kind of let go was
Mhm.
with my youngest daughter, she was sleeping with us, right? Because like she didn't want to
Mhm.
sleep on the bed that was
Mhm.
provided. So we let her sleep in, you know, between us for the last, you know, 7 days on a cruise. And when she was back, she expected that. So
Mhm.
yeah, like even though I would put her back in her own bed, eventually she makes her way. And then I
Mhm.
was way too tired to even like fight with her during the middle of the night. And then so I kind of let her like, you know, adjust. And then I talk to her in the morning. I'm like, hey, before we sleep, let's do this and this. Is she still doing that? Um,
Mhm.
but can't complain because I think she's doing less and less now. I just have to
Yeah, yeah.
constantly remind her. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, remember, stay on your bed until
Mhm.
tomorrow morning when you see the sun. No sun, no
Yeah.
coming in.
Interesting, interesting. Actually, for
Yeah.
that tip, I just want to say, like, someone did tell me that they had the same thing with their daughter, and
Hmm.
like they got the little like mattress put next to the
Yeah, yeah.
bed just so that they can sleep, not at least with your bed, but at least if she wants to come just on a mattress next to me. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, that will work too. I think
Yeah.
it's like for me, it's she takes up so much space.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay, but she takes up so much space for a little
Yeah.
person. All right. So I actually kind of like thought about like some of the tips I wanted to kind of share, and I broke it down into like, okay, if you have to fly somewhere, or even like
Mm-hmm.
tips on like cruise in general. So
Mm-hmm.
I had like three tips for like flying. So for flying, I know this is a question that I get from all my mom friends. It's like, hey, when should I schedule my flight? Should it be like during their nap time? Should it not be? Like, when should I schedule the flight? So I don't really know a good tip for that because I have tried a few things and then I can tell you some of the risk. So you can schedule it during your nap time, but it's also depending on your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your kids are super hyper, they like, you know, looking at things, they might actually pass their tiredness and be super excited and actually can't fall asleep on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen, you know, some kids that just like, hey, get on a plane, get on that sleeping routine, and they fall right asleep. So I think it really depends on your kid. And if they are able to nap kind of on the go, then more likely they're probably able to sleep on a plane. But if they're not really and they're like super hyper and like all these things and they get overtired very easily, it might not be. So I think it
Mm-hmm.
really depends.
Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically, like I don't know, like I care about my kids' naps, but I would still book what's cheapest.
Yeah, so yeah,
Cheapest
like
flights. I mean, yeah.
yeah, so it really depends. Like I have done it a few times, and I've also booked an overnight flight with my youngest, my
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
And it was okay. It wasn't too
Mm-hmm.
bad. I was super worried, like he's gonna not sleep, but then
Yeah.
we kind of let him like I think my flight was like 1 a.m. So obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's way past his best time. We let him nap like a second nap during
Mm-hmm.
the before the flight, like I think around like 7 to 10 or whatever it was. And
Mm-hmm.
then we just let him watch TV. So it was like totally out of his routine. And
Mm-hmm.
then we kind of just watched his sleeping cues and then we both kind of just fell asleep. And then
Mm-hmm.
we kind of slept together.
Nice.
So I think it just really depends. And I've
Mm-hmm.
tried to book it like during nap time too, and it kind of like fell flat. Like
Mm-hmm.
one kid fell asleep and the other one was just super hyper. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
it just really depends. And yeah, like
Okay.
Anya said, book the cheapest flight.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry too much about it. Um, and then the other thing for planes, especially if your kid has had like ear infection or like just more susceptible to ear infection, like my eldest, he had a really, really tough time like during landing. So I was giving him like lollipop, milk, and you should definitely do that during like takeoff as well as
Mm-hmm.
landing. But my eldest, especially, he had like his ear pressure was really, really hard on him. There
Mm.
is actually this earplug that I was able to get on Amazon to try to I don't know what they do, but like they balance that his ear pressure a little bit easier, and that has helped.
We'll share a link.
Yeah, we'll share a link. If you guys had that problem or just want to prevent it, I think that's the way to go. Because
Mm.
I have been on flights where he did not have that and he was crying
Oh my God.
all
Oh
the
no.
way to landing.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so bad for him
Mm-hmm.
because he was really hurting and you can see his
Mm-hmm.
pain. And then as soon as we try that, that has helped tremendously. So
Mm-hmm.
just something to keep in mind and something to note. And then the other thing is I I buy a lot of like the dollar store kind of toys for
Mm-hmm.
my kids because I as much as I want them to watch TV and not do other things, they do get a little bit cranky after watching like hours and hours of TV. I don't know if it's just my kid or just in general, they get more
Mm-hmm.
cranky. I think it's like too much stimulation because
It
the
is.
cartoon, I don't know what it is. I think they're
I know
overstimulated.
what it is actually, because I heard. Can I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
chime in? So basically, I heard from actually psychologists. So what the reason why TV is a lot of stimulation is because the image goes very, very fast, like changes, like all
Mm.
of these things, and it stimulates their brain. So usually, like psychologists, like they recommend for children to have a TV where, let's say, like if a horse jumps or it goes very, very, very slow. So this is the
Mm.
only type of TV which is kind of okay. But if it's like horse just jumps, then there is like another rabbit just jumps and everything like that. It's like it's too much.
Oh, that makes
So
sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like if I let them watch too much, I feel like they're overstimulated and like very cranky and like
Mm-hmm.
hard
Mm-hmm.
to manage their emotions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is like I'd let them watch maybe half an hour and then let them rest. But obviously letting them rest is hard. So I like buy a lot of like little things that they have not played with or like I've tried like so many things where like the window seats for a plane, there's like you can like stick things on it.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, like my kids love. I put tape on like their little like toy cars, and then they have to like try to like get rid of it. Like there's so many things that you can find on
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest, Instagram, so much inspirations. Definitely try those because it does keep a kid entertained for a while. Things that they've never done before and things that they love. Like my kids love bandages. So I just bought them a box of bandages. And then they she was literally staking all herself. And then like seriously she spent like hours on it. She like peeled it and like put it on like this and like tried to put it on me. But seriously, it's like
Oh my God, Wendy, you should make a checklist of things like how to entertain your kid on a plane.
it
So
was
it's just
hilarious.
so funny. Can I just chime in with here? Because also like my kid loves, he is only 6 months, but he loves like tags from clothing. I don't know, it's
Yes.
just the most exciting thing for him. But I saw that there is actually a book sold somewhere on Amazon where when you open up, it has a lot of this weird things attached to it, like a belt, a tag, like a little cord, something else, and like basically it keeps your kids entertained for a while. So you
Yeah.
remind me of this.
No, it's really funny. Like it's the most basic things that you can think of that kids are very interested in. And it's things that you don't give them all the time. Like I
Mhm.
won't give my kid a box of bandages, right? Like I wouldn't. But on
Yeah,
a plane, yes. So
nice. Crazy.
yeah, it's really interesting. As your mom, you get very creative.
Hmm.
All right. So that leads me to kind of tips for a cruise. So I was on an Alaska cruise, and it's actually one of the calmest cruise, but on the sea days, you do still get like a little bit of a wave as you're, making your way up the Pacific Ocean. So
Hmm.
actually, two of my kids were a little bit seasick, and then one of the things that really helped were these like nausea like patches. So you can put it behind your ear as well as actually over the your tummy,
Mm.
and basically covering your belly button, and that really helps.
Oh, wow.
So
And it doesn't
prevent.
get into your system, or it
It's
does?
just I don't know if it does, but I think it's like herbs. Try to
Mm.
like eliminate some of the nausea that you're feeling. So that's one of the things I've added for my kids, and has helped. And then the other one is actually so gravel is
Hmm.
obviously a drug, right? But they have these like gravel ginger candy. So it's like just ginger
Mm.
and it's like a gummy. So actually, my kid, when he was feeling a little bit nausea, I gave him that, and he felt a little bit better, and he was able to, carry on with his activity. So just something to, try. And there's a bunch of other ones that you can try too. I was trying to go more like non-drug route, to help. And obviously, giving
Hmm.
them like ginger would not help, but the ginger gummy actually was pretty tasty, so they were able to eat it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and then I already mentioned this already. In terms of kids club, is any kids above the age of 3. So if
Hmm.
you want to leave your kid, make sure they're above 3 because they're very strict on the age. And then also like prep your kids. If they have not heard of the concept of like, playing with kids or they don't go to daycare or whatever it is, or just new group of kids, I can't tell you how much crying I've seen or heard during this
Hmm.
entire time during drop off. Like
Hmm.
I've like there's so many kids. I'm like, and when I see other kids crying, I'm like, oh, like it's actually really fun. Like, they're doing it. And I was like telling my kid to kind of like guide them,
Hmm.
like bring them in as well. Because obviously a kid bringing a kid is a lot easier and it has helped. But I can't tell you how much crying I have heard. Um,
Oh.
so it's hard because like once they're in, they love it. It's just the
Hmm.
initial kind of going in, it's a new environment. So I would say like just prep your kids. This is what I did. I kind of show them pictures. Like here is all the activities that you would do. I let them pick which activity they want to do. I didn't like force them, hey, you must go in this time. Kind of ease them in and just prep your kids, I would say, because there was a
Hmm.
lot of crying. Um, and then the other thing is for a cruise, you can actually ask for a free crib. So you can get that. There's sofa beds, so usually it will fit like two kids, and maybe three if there's because usually there's a sofa bed and there's one that you can pull down as well. So
Hmm.
technically, so then there's a couple of kids that you can. The other thing, a lot of people don't realize if they have never been on a cruise before, a cruise like room is a lot smaller than a hotel room. So
Hmm.
don't bring like large luggages because you can't walk. And especially if you have kids and they need to sleep on those sofa beds, like you really have no room. So
Hmm.
try to bring like smaller luggages, or if you have a large luggage, like you can take out bags of things. So it's easier for you to, navigate. And funny enough,
Nice.
Anya, I know you want me to do this. I actually have want to talk about like even road trips, like theme parks and car seats as I'm like kind of just in my
Yeah, yeah,
tip
yeah.
generation. So I would love to do that on episode 17.
Oh,
And
commitments are here.
and if you're following our numbers, you might have noticed that I skipped to 17. The reason being next episode, episode 16, is where we have a special guest coming on. So
Hmm.
stay tuned for that.
Wow, I'm so excited. And can you believe we are already on episode 15?
I know,
It's like
crazy.
almost like season two, almost done. Obviously, we don't track seasons, but it's really exciting, and we
I
have
know.
even more, and like we have more and more ideas, more and more topics that we generate every single day, and yeah, we'll be unstoppable. And if you like this episode, please share your likes, give us some comments, share our episodes with friends. And, we really want to make it more like, just conversational.
Mm.
Um, we just really want you all to resonate with us.
Yeah, it's really why we started. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
can we get in touch with other moms or other women who might be in the same boat and learn from you as well. So make sure you comment, send us messages or anything you want to hear from us. For that, bye for now. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye. See you.